you going, guys? And welcome to another episode of What Do You Do for a Crust? With us today, we have a police officer.
G'day, how are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you very much for being here. We're very excited.
My pleasure.
As always, in good fashion, we'll get started with our Fast Five. So, growth opportunities for a police officer.
As much as you want.
Yeah.
It's wide open. Yeah, you can work with dogs, you can work with planes, you can work with traffic, you can do whatever you want. You can be on the road, you can do investigations, detective, whatever floats your boat. If you can't find something within this industry,
probably not
you'd
for you.
You'd be pretty hard stretched.
Yeah, fair enough. Sounds like good diversity as well. Like there's big differences between all those things you just said.
Oh, big time. Special ops, water, there's so many different things that you can get into.
So good growth and opportunities.
Massive growth opportunity.
Income salary range?
Straight sort of while you're studying, I think it's now sort of around the 70k mark, and then sort of jumps up to around 80 for your first one on probation, maybe mid 70s. 80 sort of 82,000 first year Connie.
Good money.
And then there's percentage increases too. So if you're on the road most of the time, you get 23% or thereabouts.
So nearly an extra quarter.
Yeah, that's right.
Good money.
So and then you've got opportunity to do extra shifts and overtime, and there's always that. They're always looking for overtime and RBTs, and working at different sporting events and whatever. If you want to make some money, you definitely can. You can go country.
I
you
didn't
can
think about the sporting events as well. That'd be cool.
It is pretty cool. I've worked a few.
Yeah, I think that'd be good fun.
Yeah, it definitely is.
I'd probably get a bit distracted and probably not be very professional. But anyway, pathway and learning. So you mentioned study. You get paid while you study. Definitely a pro. What's the study kind of look like? Just really roughly.
It's 9 months at the academy, and they will walk you through all of the syllabus, everything that you need to know. It's very well structured. For me, obviously, we haven't touched on age, but I'm a little bit older than the new recruits. I'm 44. I'm happy to say that.
Yeah.
And so for me, going back to study after 26 years, I found challenging. Yeah. Because things have changed a lot in the study thing. Yeah. But they're very supportive. You get good mentors, and then your course mates will also back you up. So there's a little study breakout groups and things like that, and everyone's on group chats and.
So there's avenues if you do need help with certain things, and I think naturally, we're good at some things, we're not so good at others. Like naturally, sometimes you just need an extra hand with. That's fine.
Exactly, and that's sort of while you're there the entire time. People are good at certain things, and people aren't so good, and then you just all sort of help each other out. And you get across the line as a course. You don't sort of get across the line as an individual. It's very much team orientated.
Builds that team orientation.
Yeah, it really does.
Camaraderie and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and you really get to know like your course. You get up close and personal over those 9 months, and then sort of you get to the end and you graduate, and it's just you kind of feel sad because you're leaving your course and you're going out into the big wide world. But you still catch up with people here and there. But it's a very intense 9 months. Yeah,
I can understand, and for good reason. We'll definitely unpack that further.
Definitely.
And get your gauge on that. I have a suspicion we're not going to be able to get all this done in 45 minutes, but we'll see how we go. Which isn't a bad thing by any means. It means good convo. I'm thinking attributes or pros and cons. Which one we want to do first? I think we're going to do attributes. Attributes and traits. What's some attributes and traits that someone should have if they want to be a police officer? In your opinion, what's going to help them?
Look, I think if you can talk to someone, if you can have an open conversation and you naturally like asking questions, because let's be honest, you go to a job and you've got to find out what's going on. So you've got to be comfortable with saying, hey, person, what's happened here? And you've got to unpack and make up your own mind. So as long as you can you're open to having conversations with people and staying open, I think that goes a long way. You don't have to be super buff. You don't have to be the fittest person in the world to do this job.
I think a lot of people would be quite scared that there's a physical... is there a physical test that you have
There
to
is
do?
a physical test, but it's not overly hard. Look, 42 when I went through the academy. Always carried a bit of weight, and honestly, I put in the effort. Yeah. But it's also broken down into age brackets. Okay. So obviously 18 to say 23-year-olds have to do things a little bit quicker, and as you get a little bit older, you get to do things a little bit slower.
That's fair. That's the same in I would say in any athletic competition and those kind of things. Like age has to become an attribute. Yeah. Okay. So we're talking, you don't have to be physically fit, but like kind of helps.
Yeah, it definitely helps. And then just being able to talk to someone.
Yeah.
And being able to just make a decision.
Yeah.
If you can be decision orientated and talk to someone and, back yourself, I think that's pretty much all you need off the bat, and then you'll learn as you go along.
Okay.
That's what the academy's there for. That's what the 9 months are there for, is so they can mould you like that piece of clay. And you can be the best version of you. I think that's army, but it doesn't really matter.
Well, I mean, I'd say it's still applicable, absolutely. Okay, and pros and cons?
Pros, definitely the avenue of things that you can do. Where you want to go, the world is your oyster. Cons, unfortunately, there's still probably a few people in the industry that are very narrow-minded, and they can make your life a little bit challenging, especially in that early year as a probie or a probationary constable.
Yeah.
There's some people that still think that
like hazing,
you don't know, not so much hazing, but just make your life a little bit uncomfortable.
Oh, okay.
Like, you should know this, and why don't you know that, and do better. And so some people take the time to nurture you and ask you questions, but some people just expect that you should know what to do, and when you don't, they make it known that you should.
There's a running joke on this podcast that when you see a job advertisement and they're wanting someone with 15 years experience but straight out of university or something like that, or be under 25, and you go, what the fuck, it's not even possible. Is it kind of like that, where there's expectations on you that just aren't able to be reached? Because particularly being a first, there's always needs to be a learning.
People learn at different rates.
Yeah.
And I think it's really unfair to expect someone to come out and know what they should be doing on the same level as someone else, because we're all different. We're all individuals and human beings, right?
Yeah.
So we all learn at different paces and different levels, and I take a little bit longer to grasp things.
Me too. I'm a very practical.
And understand things, and I like to understand things before I go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Which has sometimes seen me come a little bit unstuck, because that then makes me come across as not being confident. So I think sometimes they really want something. They're just expecting you to be super confident, know what you're doing. You're like, hang on, 6 months ago, I was in the academy learning kind of how to do this, and now you've thrown me on the street and expect me to know how to do it. But yeah.
Very fair. Okay. Awesome. All right, that's the first 5 out of the way. No residual pressure is off. I did mention to a few people that I was interviewing a police officer, and there was a lot of interest, and some really silly questions and some not so silly questions, some serious ones. First of all, the first silly question was, is it like the cop shows? Is it, the cars you shop? You get called a boot because you're the first year.
You've clearly seen The Rookie. Okay.
Yeah.
Just the terms that you're using, yeah.
For reference, these are not my questions. I've already done my questions. These are a few people that have gone, is it in any way similar to, I guarantee you, watching a show on nursing is not in any way, shape or form similar. But is there anything that's similar?
It is absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I'm so
like what you see on TV.
I'm not surprised at all. Okay.
Actually watching things like The Rookie as a police officer, it's very...
Is it a good giggle?
It's so interesting. It's so fun because you just pick it apart.
You sit and you go, where was the level of console? Do they even bother?
Like, they'll go check on someone to see if they're still alive, and they're pulling their guns out at the front door saying, it's the police with guns drawn.
Yeah.
And you're like, you just want to find out if someone's in there and if they're safe. I think every single episode I've watched of The Rookie so far, they pull a gun on every single episode.
Well, I mean, it is a drama series, so it has to be somewhat interesting.
Yeah, but it's nothing like that.
That's the silly question out of the way. Someone was asking me, what's it like being pepper sprayed, or if you ever cop, I don't know, is it pepper spray, capsicum spray?
Yeah, OC spray.
OC spray.
It does have a really big chemical name, but we just call it OC spray.
Yeah. I'm assuming it sucks.
It does suck. Yeah. I have not experienced it in the field or out in my day-to-day job. Mm-hmm. Did experience it through training though at the academy.
Really?
So they need to make you. You need to experience it. So then when it does happen, you know that you can cope with it.
Okay.
So what they do, they put you in a garden shed.
No.
And the person, so the trainers will have all the full face masks on with the full respirators.
Okay.
And then you'll go in and they'll just literally unload cans and cans and cans of this stuff into this shed, and then they'll ask you questions about legislation and other bits and pieces. So you've got to stand there with your eyes absolutely watering.
Oh my God.
And all you want to do is rub them, but the first thing they tell you is don't rub your eyes, because it rubs them makes it so much worse.
Yeah, okay.
And then you've got to answer questions, I guess, under pressure.
Wow.
And then you're in there for probably about 60 seconds.
Okay, yeah.
And then you get out, and then people are already there with spray bottles, like
Ready
spraying your eyes out and stuff like that. So
I'm
it's very uncomfortable.
I can imagine it's uncomfortable, and some would say maybe a bit barbaric, but I can understand the need for it, because then you've generally understood what it's like. You know.
Well, you know that when it happens, you know you can handle it.
Yeah.
So the worst thing is you don't want to be somewhere, you don't want to be on a busy nightclub strip.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden something's going down and some spray gets sprayed and you're freaking out because you don't know whether or not you can tolerate it. So, I understand why they do it, and it was actually cool, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because you go, oh yeah, I can do that, and yeah, it's fine.
Okay, fair enough. Bit of resilience there, and going, yeah, okay, I know I've experienced it. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Another query was someone was mentioning to me they want to be a police officer, but they're scared for the paperwork. Is the paperwork as terrifying as what most people would expect it to be?
There is a lot of paperwork.
A lot? Okay.
There is a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
Look, I won't lie, but
for good reason, though. Obviously, it's quite an important role. You are literally upholding safety. You are, enforcing laws. There's many avenues there. I mean, it's cross the T's and dot the I's.
Well,
every job's got paperwork.
It's all legal.
Yeah.
Like, it's all legislative. So when you go out there and make an arrest, you've got to obviously have a lawful reason for doing so, and then your paperwork has to reflect that. Yes, there is paperwork for just about everything, but you've got time to do it. Like if you structure your day well and you're good at time management, it's not out of control. I found it a little bit challenging when I first started, because what they teach you at the academy is a very high level.
Yeah.
But then when you get out into the field, realistically, what they expect from you is a lot less, so you don't have to write as much. So I think they set you up for success in a way, like by getting you to write all this stuff. But then when you get out, it's like not as much as what you think it was.
And I can imagine you need to be quite the particular style of writing as well. It can't be very emotional. It needs to be quite informative or direct or concise or
It's just got to be factual.
Factual. Thank you. That's the one I was looking for. Yeah, and very fair. Like I can imagine it's very important. That kind of avenue. Okay. I often see like individuals. I don't think I could ever be a police officer because I'm a natural people person, and I think just unfortunately some people generally dislike police, which is stupid, and I've never understood that. But you see a lot of cars where it's just one person in there, and you go, "Where's your partner? How come old mate's all by himself?"
Yeah,
I thought you guys always had partners.
It ebbs and flows. So there's certain divisions within police where you will just have one person to a car.
Yeah, okay.
And there's avenue, not saying that that's not as dangerous, but there's solo for a reason.
Yeah.
But then sort of general response, most of the time, it's a two-up crew.
Yeah, okay.
Unless sort of you've got an odd number on your team. Then that solo member will be probably the most senior member. And then, normally that solo person won't get tasked to jobs that is not suitable for a solo person, or if they do, they'll get backed up.
And how does that work when you go an individual or crew gets tasked to something? Is it like all through radio? Does it come through a screen?
Yeah, it's all through screens.
Yeah, okay.
So we've got computers, so to speak, that sit in the cars, and comms will come up on air and just voice a job, and they'll say, "Can this call sign? Can you take that?" And you're like, "Yep, no, not a problem. Send it down," and then it'll appear on your screen. Then you can read all the information so when someone's called in for a particular, I'm worried about Harry Jones down the road. Okay. I haven't seen him in 3 days and his mail's piling up in his letterbox. You go, okay, well, I've got all that info. Yeah. I'm going to go knock on, and then you start making your inquiries from there.
I think this sounds somewhat similar to when I interviewed the paramedic, where first of all, I think, the General Society has an absolute respect for first responders and for police. I can imagine you've seen some really bad things and hopefully some really good things as well. I've lost my train of thought, embarrassingly. I can't remember what I was going for. I was going to ask you something about the constant, not burnout, but I can imagine it's a high pressure, and this is a very stupid question because most people go, yeah, duh, of course it's high pressure, high stress. But I don't think a lot of people would really assess the level of stress. Like most people would think, okay, you drive to a job, you get to the job, you then assess the situation, then you have to mitigate the risk or whatever it might be, and we'll ask you what that process is. But I can imagine you're already assessing even before you pick the job, you read the comments and you go, okay, what could it possibly be? Are you already doing that kind of?
Yeah, we are. So we do that on the way.
Yeah.
So if it's, let's just say there's a domestic incident between a male and a female.
Yeah.
There's names on the job. So you can look those people up on the system.
Okay.
You can see who's got priors for what. You can see if there's intervention orders in place. You can see, a whole myriad of things. So you can form a bit of you can see
what
if there's any anything, warnings for weapons or anything like that. So you sort of know what you're walking into before you get there. And, just like any other job or anything else you do your research before you get into it.
Yeah.
So then when you rock up and you knock on, you sort of know where you're at. And then you you definitely have the opportunity to research and get the bigger picture before you get there.
So I think like that already is stressful. You're working even before you're working kind of thing. Like you're on from.
Oh, and don't forget, you're doing this as your colleagues driving.
Yeah.
So you're not just sitting at a computer desk in an office looking this up, and then you go, oh, okay, let's go, mate. Let's go see what old mate's up to.
So, and this is why I think I have quite a lot of admiration for first responders and emergency services, especially, is that I'm a desk worker. No worries at all. I'm not ashamed by it, but if I've got a headache, if I'm hungover, which I never do because that would be unprofessional, but if I've had a bad sleep, maybe I haven't had brekkie, I haven't had my coffee, whatever it might be, I can still get by.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it's the same for yourself.
Definitely not.
So how does that work?
You've got to be on. You've got to be on all of the time. You can't ever go to work being off. Fortunately, in our role, we get 6 weeks of annual leave,
and
plus
rightly so,
an extra 2 weeks to sort of pick days here and there when we want to have an extra day off. Sick leave, you can take basically a sick day. Not too many people ask too many questions.
Fair, very fair.
So there is opportunities. If you honestly wake up in the morning and you're like, you know what, I just can't do this today. You just don't.
Okay, fair. Yeah. I can imagine, like you need to be 10 out of 10 every day.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Let's circle back a bit to the training. So you mentioned 9 months of the academy.
Yeah.
Is that full time, long, not standard days?
9 months, full time, Monday to Friday, basically 9 to 5.
Okay. Can I ask, and I'm sure this varies from police force, state to state, station to station, country to country, all those kind of things, but generally, what's included in that content?
I honestly don't know where to start with that question because absolutely everything.
So I'm assuming, you don't get your uniform day one and you go from there. I'm assuming there's probably...
It takes probably 4 weeks till you get your uniform. So it's very daunting because you rock up on day one and they say you come in office attire. Okay. So you're wearing slacks and a shirt and a tie. And everyone else there is in blues.
See, I wouldn't even know to wear a tie. I would just rocked up in a polo and some jeans. So there you go. I'm learning already.
Yeah. So, day one's very daunting. And then you're there for the first sort of 4 weeks without uniform. So everyone knows that you're the new course.
Okay.
All right. So everyone's like, oh, what's this course going to be like? And, oh, yeah, he looks this or she looks that or whatever. Everyone's already forming an opinion of you. And then after about 4 weeks, the uniform rocks in. And then it's all got to be pristine.
Yeah.
So ironed perfectly, and then your mentors or your, mentors will analyse. So you go in, you say, right, everyone get dressed in your uniform, we're going to do an inspection. And if you don't pass, then another week before you can get into your uniform. Oh, and then only when you pass your first initial uniform inspection, it's right then on, then you're fine in uniform.
And then you're not under the microscope?
Not so much.
Okay.
But when you're at the academy, they expect you to be, shirts nicely ironed, pants ironed, boots nice and shiny, because you're not running around and you're not diving on the ground in your uniform. Like if you're doing your physical training and all of that sort of stuff, you've got your gym gear on.
Yeah, okay. All right. And then, so in that first 4 weeks before you get your uniform, I'm assuming there's a level of probably like PT or some kind of exercise, stretches, yoga.
Yep.
What was the physical test that you did, just out of curiosity?
The physical. So when I applied, I think it was when I went through. We had to do. There's an obstacle course you've got to do. You've got to complete it in about a minute and a half. There's a sprint. There's a bag carry. There's step ups. You got to jump over a couple of different heights of fences. Basically, and a few other bits and pieces. And all of that while wearing a weighted vest.
Okay.
And what they'll do is they'll give you sort of 3 or 4 or 5 identifiers. So they'll say Caucasian, male, blue shirt, black pants. And then you go run your obstacle course. and you get to the end and they'll say, what was the descriptor?
Oh, jeez.
Because they're just simulating you're chasing someone.
And then so
you've jumped out of the car and they've gone, the offender's gone this way and this is what he's wearing. So you take off and then you've got to be able to obviously identify the offender at the end.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So it's not just can you run fast or can you lift heavy? Can you do it all?
And then you've got to be able to recollect what you've actually and keep it in your mind.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then they sort of while you're in the academy, you get towards sort of the end and you've got to do the fitness test sort of at the end to prove that you can still do it. They make it really they just take the piss. They're like 7'4", green, no hair, ripped shorts. Obviously, it's the Hulk, but they just make it so elaborate that you actually have to remember.
Yeah, okay.
But I don't know what most people are like, but I'm a very visual person.
Yeah.
So if someone gives me a descriptor, I can visualize that in my head, and then as I'm running around, I just keep that visual or that picture in my mind, and then it's once I get there, it's like and away we go.
Okay. For the record, I'm not a gun nut. I don't think I've ever shot a gun.
I'm also not a gun nut. Yeah.
How does that look when it comes to the academy? Because I won't lie, I had a few people ask me, what's it like having a gun? Is it like having a second dick? And I've gone, I'm not going to ask that. It's stupid as shit.
I'll be honest with you. You actually forget that you've got it on.
Okay.
Because it just becomes part of your normal kit.
It's just part of the kit.
So gun, mag, radio spray, baton, cuffs.
How much does all
keys.
That weigh?
Yeah, a bit. I haven't actually taken it all off and put it on a set of scales, but
a decent amount.
It'd be at least 7 to 8 kilos
on your hip the entire time.
That's you spread it on the vest and on the hip, okay. So you sort of carry an extra 7 or 8 kilos. I'd suggest it would be around there. And
now it gives a bit more concept as to why you guys do the weight vest during your PT sessions.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. It sounds like everything's done for a purpose. Am I right in that?
You are right. They don't just do it for shits and giggles. Or to see if they can break you or anything like that. It is done for a reason.
Okay.
But just to circle back to your question, the training around firearms is very well structured. Yeah. It's very serious. There's no dicking around.
Yeah.
If you stray any at all from what the instructors are telling you right then and there, you get blasted. For fair reason.
I mean, it's obviously a very, very dangerous weapon. It is a weapon.
It's definitely a weapon.
And yes, it's there for defense and de-escalation. I'm sure it's got many other effective intentions for it. But obviously, if you do have to fire a weapon, it's in bad terms.
You're not having a good day.
No.
Even if you're getting it out of the holster, you're not having a good day.
And I'm sure there's people listening to this that have gone, I've shot guns on farms and, it's fine. It's a bit different when you shoot an animal, which I don't agree with either, but different if you're shooting at a target or, I'm shooting cans sitting on the post, whatnot. Very different when it's aimed at a person.
Yeah, very much so. Look, honestly, I'm grateful that that's not happened to me. I've never had to... The only thing I do is put it in there in the morning and take it out at the afternoon. That's the most I've done with a firearm, and I honestly hope it stays that way.
Very fair. And I can understand why there's such rigorous... And I'd be quite uncomfortable if I was a cadet and or a new recruit and I saw a fellow cadet or a new recruit joking around. I'd be like, I don't trust that guy. It's not the thing you make a joke about, I don't think.
No, and it's definitely not. And even at the academy, they will give you I don't want to use the word toy, a replica.
Yeah.
It doesn't weigh as much, but it still sits in the holster. And even with the replica, they say you treat this like it is an actual firearm. So they go, don't go in the toilet and look in the mirror and start drawing to see how cool you look. If we see you doing that, you're done. And that's for good reason.
And so clearly someone's done that and they've called them.
There's a reason why there's do not do this signs around all over the place, isn't there? Because someone's done it. So that's obviously why they say don't do it, because someone's done it.
Very true. Okay. So we're talking gun. What else is on the belt, sorry?
So everyone sets up their equipment differently.
Okay, really?
So we have the opportunity to...
Which makes sense. Like, I'm left-handed. I'm assuming I'd have my...
You'd have a left-handed holster and you'd have most things on the left. But yeah, everyone sets up things differently. I know some of my colleagues don't really have much on their vest and they carry a lot on the hip, on their belt. And that's because they were probably carrying a belt before the vests were introduced.
Okay.
Whereas I'm very different. I'll carry a lot of things on my vest. I like it centralised. And I don't like sort of a lot. So basically what I'll have on my hip, I've got my firearm, my spray, my baton at the rear. And if we switch with who does tasering and we only carry one taser per patrol pair, and I'll have my taser on the left-hand side, and that's pretty much it. And then I carry sort of like radio, handcuffs, torch, and like a little utility pouch with like pens and maps and bits and pieces, evidence bags and all that sort of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff. It is a lot of stuff.
Look, I'm not going to lie, it is a lot.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's a lot of stuff in a bad way. I can imagine you need every single one of those things for a very clear reason or for multiple reasons. No reason at all. But it is a lot of stuff. Is there anything extra that's kept in the cars?
So we do carry another, like a massive big bag that's got leather gloves, it's got a first aid kit, it's got a Tivex suit, it's got evidence bags, it's got tape, it's got, you name it, it's probably in there. There's traffic cones, there's road spikes, there's sharps containers, there's everything you can think of. There's, it's in there.
Okay, very fair. What about, we mentioned before shift lines. So when we're talking quickly about the salary range and that, shift lines, what is a normal, does your shift, is it like week on, week off? Is it 9 to 5?
Honestly, it's all over the place. It depends on whether you're a response, if you're investigative, if you're a detective, if you're whatever your role is, your roster will reflect what you do. On response is sort of probably where you get the most shift allowance because it's high pressure, it's night shift, it's all that sort of stuff. And then it works its way down from there. Okay.
Do you normally work with the same people or does it change a lot?
Yeah, look, my team's pretty small at the moment, so I work with, the same 2 or 3 people. But when you're on a bigger team, normally there's about 8 on a full response team. And you're always mixing it up and chopping and changing. And, if you've got a couple of probies and they've got to obviously work with a more senior member, so they tend to get paired up because there's reviews and everything. So they sort of always work together, but there's a lot of change. You're not always working with the same person. Okay.
You mentioned probie versus senior. What classifies as a senior? Well, if I'm a police officer, how do I know when I'm now a senior? Is it years? Is it classification? Is it?
So you go in as a probationary constable. After a certain amount of time, you become permanently appointed. You become a constable, and then you Connie 1, Connie 2, Connie 3 based on years. After 3 years of being a Connie, you're eligible to sit the senior Connie exam, and then you can go up to be a senior Connie or senior constable. Obviously, similar to armed forces and whatever, you've got stripes and ranks on your shoulders. Everyone knows what they are, and that's sort of what dictates a senior member. Also, within teams, we have things called field tutors. Okay. So if you're a probationary constable, you'll always be paired with a field tutor. They're not always necessarily going to be senior constables. They could be 2 or 3 year Connies. Okay. But they're just comfortable in their job and they know what they're doing, and their sergeant thinks that they're suitable to train.
How does it work if I'm going to paint a scenario, and I'm not going to be graphic. If I'm a second crew rocking up, and it's a car accident, everyone's fine, no worries at all, but you need to divert traffic. Is there someone that takes on the scene or leads the scene, or is it just whoever's there first?
Straight off the bat, that's going to basically be a traffic issue. It's going to be we have got separate traffic members and separate response members, so it'll more than likely be traffic. But whoever's there first, whatever they're doing, you get their liaise. What do you need me to do? Oh, can you block that lane? Can you do this? Can you do that? So it's all, you're a team when you get there. There's no, I'm here second, so that's my job. Okay. Everything's a team effort. I
really like that model. I really do, because I can imagine some of the really tricky situations you guys have been in. You need to rely on your partner and your team and your crew or whoever's there. You're only as good as your weakest link to a certain point, which I'm not saying there'd be any weak links, but you are a team.
Yeah, and I'll say this, one thing for sure that I've noticed or that I've experienced is you don't have to be everyone's best mate, but you have to be there for your buddy. Yeah. And I'll be open. I'm not friends with everyone where I work because we're all different personalities. Yeah. But when we get up together, if that person needs help, mate, I'll be there in 2 seconds flat.
Which I think is exactly what, if I was one of your colleagues, that's exactly what I want to hear. Yeah. Which is really nice. I won't go into specifics, but I can imagine you've seen some horrible things. How do you decompress? How do you, shut off? How do you have that work-life balance, that breakaway? Some people, they work from home, they don't work at their dinner table, the drive home lets them chill out, all those kind of things. How do you relax?
The biggest thing I do is I don't bring my kit home. Okay. So I don't bring any, my uniform will only come home when it needs washing. And then, so just to put that into perspective, I leave my boots at work, At the start of every week, I'll take in however many shirts I need for the week and however many pairs of pants I need for the week, and they'll go in my locker. And I'll always go to work in a pair of civvies, get changed at work, and then I can take all of that stuff off, leave it at work, put a pair of civvies on, and come home.
Yeah.
So for me, that's always been a non-negotiable. I don't think that'll ever change because I like to leave work at work. There's some pretty good support networks out there, like even just talking to your sergeant or talking to a colleague, you sort of bounce off each other. And you can openly have conversations. You're like, hey, mate, I found that job real hard because this triggered me and that triggered me. And, everyone's there to listen. And then like every other job, there's counsellors, if you need some support, it's there for you.
Like an employee assistance program kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Because, I can't imagine it being quite tricky. And it's great that you can rely on colleagues and seniors and such. Yeah, as well.
And I think it's important as well to have good outlets. Like I'm pretty active. I still play a bit of basketball. I like to get out and ride the bike and play a bit of golf. And I think if you can have good balance, you don't want to be just constantly at home by yourself mulling over stuff. You can leave it at work, get out, be active, still do your sort of normal life. That definitely helps.
Fair enough. And I can imagine like a good routine and that kind of thing. With the work-life balance, is it like, do you, specifically for yourself, is it 5 days and then do you get a weekend, or is it 4 and 4, or is it 2 and 2?
The role that I'm in at the moment, it's sort of on a 5-week rotating roster.
Okay.
So I think...
So it's like 5 weeks a day.
I honestly still don't know what I do. I've thank God for the Apple Calendar app that tells me where I've got to be and what I've got to do every day.
That app will save
but I think it's like 5 days and then 2 off, and then maybe 6 arvos and then 2 off, and then there's a week in there where we do some night shift, and then every 5 weeks they put the 2 days off back to back, so you get a 4-day break. And I always do a cheeky. I always take one of the other days off, so I get a 5-day break. Yeah,
I mean, fair if you can.
So you got to make it work for you.
Very fair. This is something that I ask every emergency worker, first responder, whatever you want to call them. Do you believe in the full moon theory? If you've heard of that, and do you believe in it?
It's definitely a thing.
Definitely a thing.
I don't know if I believe in it, so to speak, but we do notice the crazies, so to speak, come out a lot more when it's a full moon, and if it's a clear full moon as well. Like if there's no cloud and it's a beautiful big yellow bright full moon, some things happen. It's
really quite interesting. I do a bit of research about every position or job or career that I interview, and I try and find a little bit just so I come in having some kind of idea of some questions to ask, even though they're normally very off the cuff. And particularly when I researched a police officer and a paramedic at first responders emergency services, full moon comes up in that search, which is hilarious. And I don't think a lot of people would kind of realise that, but it makes sense. Well, not that the full moon makes sense, but particularly like late at night and all that kind of thing. Is night shift like the shittest thing in the world? Night
shift's so much fun.
Yeah?
Yeah, okay. Especially if you're like on a response team, like if you're out in the car all the time, you're on the road, if you're on night shift, you can have a lot of fun.
Good.
Because you know who all the local persons
you
of interest are. And you see, if you're out on the road at 2-3 in the morning and you can see something moving in the distance, that thing probably shouldn't be moving in the distance. So you're straight up there like, well, what's your name? What are you doing? And you get to have a fair bit of fun.
Very fair. I wanted to ask, this is something that I had to ask. I do get a bit of road rage, I won't lie. I'm normally a very polite person, but I will get road rage. And I find that I'll see people be the shittest drivers in the world. They won't indicate, they'll merge, they'll swerve, they're clearly on their phone, they'll speed up to 60, then they'll slow down to 45 and then back to 65, and just poor driving skills. And clearly they're either distracted or they're just bad drivers in general and all that kind of stuff. When you're in a police car, please tell me that everyone's like 10 out of 10 perfect.
Yeah, they are. I was only having this conversation with a colleague today. I said, it's funny what happens when you put a police car behind someone.
Yeah.
Because they're the best drivers. They're the best drivers in the world.
Yeah, like,
super attentive, indicating 5 seconds before they've got to turn left.
I've got to admit, I envy that. I think if you're considering being a police officer, just for that factor, you should become one.
The funny thing is, though, like when you're in a patrol car, you totally forget that you're in a patrol car.
Oh, okay.
Because you don't see the way that the bonnets are shaped.
Yeah, you don't see
the police on the front.
And,
you can't see outside of the car, except for when you're driving past someone, you catch a glimpse in a window. You're like, oh, that's right, we're in a police car. I know it sounds silly because we've got, computers and everything's there and you've got the uniform on. And
but it's just the new norm.
It actually is.
Yeah.
And you're like, why is this person behaving so well? Oh, because we're in a police car.
Very fair.
Which is why at night shift it's a lot of fun. We have obviously unmarked cars.
Yeah.
It's no secret. Everyone knows that there's
Yeah,
unmarked cars. And they're the best to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you like doing trafficky stuff, if you like catching people on their mobile phones or getting drink drivers and things like that, get a plane fleet and just start pulling people over, or just start observing, because everything just unfolds. People, no U-turn sign. People just pop in a U-turn, and you're like, what? And then you're like, why did you do that? Like,
consideration.
I just couldn't be bothered going up the road.
Yeah.
Like, they just don't give a shit.
Have you, without me being negative, have you lost a bit of faith in humanity? Not for the real horrific sad things, but just general. Like, I'm sure you've seen some very bad things, but then also probably just some really stupid things.
You know what? It's just opened my eyes to what goes on.
Yeah.
Because you and I, I would say we're just generally normal people. We go about doing normal. Well, I say normal in brackets.
Yeah.
But since doing this role, I've definitely seen the other side of life.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of interesting characters out there. I'll give you that.
I'd love to ask you that question in 10 years' time. Hopefully you're still a police officer. I really hope you are, because it sounds like you love it.
Oh, I do, yeah, and I definitely will be.
I'd love to see if your opinion's changed and what's changed over those 10 years in regards to, sort of the regular jobs you see. Have people changed? Has, the sector changed? Or is, I don't know, the world changed to a certain point? Because I can imagine in my workspace or in workspaces that I've worked prior, you've got to be very careful about the language that you use, the body language. I've worked in places that, there are DVs and experiences and those kind of things, and you can't have a certain amount of men in the office and all those kind of things for very fair reasons. I can imagine being a police officer, you're under a lot more scrutiny because you are in the public eye, you are representing government. It is tricky. But I would love to see what would change, I guess, in that 10-year period.
Look, I hope it kind of stays the same. Like, I genuinely love it, and I think that comes across with how I'm talking about it.
Definitely does.
And I hope in 10 years or 20 years I'm still loving it. Sorry to steal the phrase from a well-known takeaway franchise. But, yeah, I think I will. I'm a pretty positive person, and I genuinely love and enjoy what I do. So I think, hopefully in 10 years, not much has changed.
Fair enough. The last question that I have from a few of the comments on our socials was someone asked a very weird hypothetical, and I'm not sure if they had an issue with this or not before, and it's not about speeding fine or a ticket or anything like that. Someone mentioned that they went through like an RBT or a breatho or whatnot. They were no drinking, nothing like that. They drove off. It was a really, really hot day, and they went, these poor buggers are out in the sun. I think it was like 42 or something. I think this might have been in one of the northern states, no worries at all. And what they did is they were like, well, screw this. They went to the closest deli or servo. They went and bought a bunch of Powerades, and then they turned around and went through the RBT again, and then handed out the Powerades or the Gatorades or whatever it was. It was like a sealed hydration drink. Yeah. And the drinks weren't accepted. The police were saying, sorry, we can't accept this. We're not allowed to. And they were, not that they were offended, but I just wanted to give the poor buggers, I would have given them a beer, but they couldn't.
Yeah, obviously.
Obviously not appropriate.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
But yeah, and I was like, I would probably do that. Are we not allowed to do that?
Yeah. Look, honestly, there's a couple of different avenues here. There's a couple of different trains of thought. Sort of depends on who it is that you're giving it to and how they feel about the situation.
Yeah.
Number two, although they're sealed, you can undo drink caps and put them back on. They still appear sealed. So you never know what's in the liquid. So we're always really cautious in relation to that. And then you've got the public saying police receiving gifts, and is that in exchange for something? And even though it is only a Powerade, you've still got to be pretty careful. Yeah. And when you're out there on a main road doing an RBT, there's obviously hundreds of cars coming past all the time. So just got to be a little bit aware. So I'm pretty sure, speaking from experience, that would have been totally appreciated, and those officers would have been like, wow, this is so cool.
He said they were really thankful.
They just at the time, couldn't do it. So.
Yeah. And I think they were like, we've got water and coolers, like we're all good, but thank you.
Yeah.
And I think he was just trying to do a nice thing. But that's the last of my weird questions. So the listeners are going to be like, mate, why are you asking? You've got a police
They're not even
officer
weird questions.
in front of you. Why are you asking this?
When are you going to get into the good stuff?
Well, I mean, what's the good stuff? What do you want to chat about?
Well, we can talk about whatever wherever you want to go, whatever you want to do. But one thing I probably would like to talk about is for probably just a following your dream sort of aspect.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a police officer from the age of 19. I applied at 19. I wanted to be a police officer from when I was in, I think, year 5 of primary school. Because we had some bloke or some police officer came to the school, did a talk, and I went, I want to be that guy.
Nice.
And then from then on, it was like, that's what I'm going to do. Got to year 10, they're like, pick your subjects. No, I don't need subjects. I'm going to be a police officer. Yeah. What do I need subjects for? I just need to know the basic stuff so I can do the exams and the tests and whatever. And then you get to 19 and you apply and you get the letter in the post saying, sorry, you're not accepted. It absolutely crushed me.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And I felt honestly lost. I'm like, this was my dream. I always wanted to do it. And now I don't know what I'm going to do. So I just sort of fell into a job. It was good. It paid okay. I kind of liked it. I was good at it.
Yeah.
And then I bounced around a whole bunch of stuff for 20 years. Thinking that was the thing that I wanted to do, and then couldn't understand why in 2 or 3 years' time I was looking for the next thing. And then I got to 41 or 42, and someone that I was with at the time just said to me, what is it that you actually want to do with your life? Because you're annoying me, so can you please figure it out?
Yeah.
And I went, well, I've always wanted to be a police officer. And from then on, I put the application in. I was very well supported by this person, and I will eternally be grateful.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, put the application in, got in, put in a lot of effort with study, and here I am today. So
I mean, obviously, it was meant to be. And first of all, kudos and props to you for going. Yeah, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
How was it all? First of all, I envy you and I think a lot of people out there would, that they don't know what they want to do right from the get-go. And very wonderful that you did. Sucks that they didn't let you in. Their loss. Obviously, they rectified their mistake, which is good.
Yeah, they saw their ways eventually.
Yeah, I know. It took them 20 years. I mean, and they're going to be kicking themselves because now they've got a resource for 20 years less, which is a bugger, but it is what it is.
That's them problem.
It's a really interesting talking point because there's avenues where... Was it right time? Was it not right time? Were you mature enough? Were you not mature enough? Like I think about when I was an 18, 19-year-old kid, I was a young dickhead. I had no idea. I was a baby. I had no idea about life and all that kind of thing. How have you found, I'm assuming to a certain point you've changed over that period?
Just a
little bit?
Just a little bit, yeah.
A bit mature, a bit more life experience?
I think it's just life experience. Like, obviously, I've experienced a lot of things in my life, marriage, divorce, so on and so forth. Yeah. I can definitely, I don't have kids, but I'm old enough to have kids. Yeah. So when we go somewhere and there's little kids involved or, toddlers or whatever, I can say, oh, look, I understand where you're coming from. I've got kids at home, so if I was in your situation, I totally get it.
Yeah.
You can definitely...
you can relate a little bit more.
You can definitely relate to people a lot more because you've lived the experiences that they're currently going through.
Do you think it's... and I honestly don't know how recruitment levels look in that at the moment, but... I'm obviously going to be a bit biased. You're sitting across from me. I would love to be out on the road and if there's an issue, you're the one helping me fix it or you're the one fixing it. Is it that maybe police forces don't... is there a bit more risk with young individuals? At
the moment, we are recruiting a lot of young individuals. I think we're just trying to get them early and mould them like they're like an untouched piece of clay, so we can sort of mould them into wherever we want to mould them. They come with no bad habits or no bad attitudes.
Yeah.
But it doesn't hurt to have life experience either, and I think there's... I've looked at quite a few of the courses that have been coming through over the last couple of years, and it does vary. There is, you've got the 18, 19s, and then there is the 40-somethings and a lot in between. So definitely police are looking for a varied range of people. So
it is an interesting concept. When I used to work in mental health, I had a fella on my team who... I think it was like late 20s. He looked like he was 14. Couldn't grow facial hair. Lovely, lovely guy. Very good at what he did. But he would honestly get bad outcomes purely because he looked so young. And people would be like, well, what the hell do you know? Like, how are you going to help me improve my mental health? You look fucking 10.
Yeah, and I think that can be hard, but I think it's also comes back to what I was saying before. Like, you've got young ones being trained by older ones or more mature.
Confidence in your decision
correct.
making.
So when you're rocking up as a, say you're 19, 20 and you're a probie, or you've just, become permanently appointed or whatever, you are going in with a more senior member as well. Yeah. So it's not just you as an 18 or a 19, you're going in with someone that might be 30 or 35 or something like that. So it does help swing the balance.
I do like that though, because I think like if you walk past a group and they're all absolutely young, not that I don't trust or have faith in young individuals, and I can understand, you trying to get them young, mould them like clay, very fair, but it's nice to have some seniority there, or just individuals that have been through things like the rest of us.
Well, it's funny because even when I was on probation or even a cadet, I'd go out on a, ride along, so to speak, on our out phases and stuff like that. And members of the public would turn to me and like make eye contact because I've got a grey beard. I've got no hair. I look 54, mate. But thank you for that.
Bald, from one bald man to another, it's the no hair. Yeah. Someone told me I was 40 the other day, and I was like, "Fuck you." Anyway, because I'm not 40. How
dare they?
Yeah, it is the bald hair, but I can understand that. But yeah, like I probably would stereotype that way.
And so,
as well.
And I'm 6'4", like I'm broad-shouldered. I'm not a small bloke. Yeah. So they go, "Oh, that guy knows what he's doing."
Yeah.
Well, once again, if you can act confident and you've got a bit of self-confidence, then the job's half done.
Okay. This is a really stupid question, but what does a typical day look like? And again, I know that's a stupid question, but you mentioned your kits are at the station, so you're grabbing your kit, you're getting ready. What then happens? Are we talking, do you check in, do you check out, do you do a debrief, do you do a toolbox meeting? How does that look? And then what's the day?
I'll kind of answer this from a response perspective, because it's probably easier. So you'll rock up to work. Say you're on a 6:30 start. You're going to get there probably about 6:10. You're going to get changed. You probably log onto a computer, have a quick look at your emails and whatever's there. You do go into a team, like a parade or a team meeting at say 6:30, where things will be discussed, like what are the objectives for today, what happened overnight, are there any follow-ups from night shift. So you're sort of debriefing and you doing a bit of a handover. Mm-hmm. You then go out, you get your kit, obviously you kit up, you go out to your vehicles, put your bags in the vehicle, and no, your boot doesn't get both the war bags, you both get your own bag. Chuck it in your car, log on, and then you're sort of away. Okay. If there's not much happening, you can duck back inside, and if you've got some things that you need to follow up on or paperwork to do, you can sort of get started on that. Yeah. And then basically from then on, the radio's on, and you'll just get tasked to jobs, and away you go. And then it's sort of in between jobs. If you see someone driving badly, or they do a U-turn where they shouldn't, or whatever, you stop that car. Or if you suspect someone's to come out of the pub and they're swaying all over the road, you pull them over. So you do your other things in between getting tasked to jobs as well.
Okay. I can imagine it's great flexibility or great variety, which would be a huge appeal, and a lot of natural problem solving and those kind of things. Okay. Nice. Definitely
it's to use the cliche, and it's very cliche. Yeah. You never know what you're going to get. Yeah. Because every day is extremely different. But there's
excitement that comes with that. And
I think there actually
definitely
is.
Good satisfaction that no 2 days are going to be the same. I guarantee you I couldn't, and I've got a pretty good imagination, but I can guarantee I couldn't imagine half the experiences or the situations. You go, wow, that was my day. Yeah. I didn't think I'd see a naked man running down the middle of the road, or like someone doing a poo on the beach, or like I'm being a bit vulgar there, but I can imagine you just go, oh my God, okay.
But both of those things have actually happened. Okay, so there you go. So.
That's my imagination right there. And they weren't me for reference, listeners, because if you'd be going, oh, you sound like you know that from experience. Okay, very, very interesting. Do you guys ever carry like spare kits? Because I can imagine you would get some bodily fluids and such on you and all those kind of things. Do you guys carry spare uniforms? Or do
spare uniform. Most people have got spare uniforms in lockers. Yeah. Okay. So if you do get stuff on your shirt, you can easily just go back and take your stuff off, put a new shirt on, or a fresh pair of pants.
Do you guys get regular breaks?
Yeah, we get meal breaks. Good. Like you do in every other job.
I would assume so. And I know it's a stupid question, but I can imagine like if there's a high priority job, you can't be like, sorry, I've just bitten into my sandwich. I'll be 20 minutes.
Yeah, I mean you book off on a break anyway.
Okay. Nice.
But yeah, most of the time once again, it's communication. You communicate with the communications people that are sending you the jobs. You just let them know, hey mate, I'm about to go grab some lunch. Is that cool?
Yeah.
They're like, go for it, and then they know you're about to go get lunch, so they don't bother you.
Fair enough.
But yeah, you definitely you still get your half-hour break for lunch, just like any other normal job.
Can I ask you a query? This was a bit of an odd one. We're getting to sort of the end of our time, but in a lot of social media at the moment, and particularly in America, so this is not always applicable to us, but a lot of people are, as soon as they get pulled over, as soon as they get drawn over on the sidewalk or whatever it might be, they get their phones out and they just record, and they go, oh, I have to record this because, and we're in Australia, we're very lucky with the police force that we have, whereas America, you do see some unfortunate mishaps or maybe abuses of power, whatever it might be. And I think Australia generally we do really, really well. And most people go, okay, I've got a problem, I've lost my little one, and you're in the mall. Oh, I can see a police officer. They'll help me. Like you look for those people and you go, oh, they'll help. Awesome. So normally it's a real sign of relief, but it seems like a lot of the time, people get their phone out and start recording. Are you finding that in Australia?
We don't find it, well, personally for me, I haven't really found it in my day-to-day stuff. It's only when we go, if you work on a nightclub, strip or something like that, there's obviously people who've got phones out naturally anyway. It's the generation that we live in.
Okay.
And if things get heated and if there's a scuffle, then people are already recording. But just general day-to-day stuff, not really.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm very glad, because I don't see the necessity for it, to be honest, because I think the Australian police in general have quite a good reputation to be quite reliable, which is great. My last query, really silly question: what's worse, drugs, alcohol, or mental health to deal with?
All of those three things form the magic triangle, because
there's not one.
There's not. It takes two sides.
Wow.
There's always two sides of that triangle. So it's not always just mental health. It's drugs and mental health.
Yeah, of course.
Or it's drugs and alcohol, or it's alcohol and mental health. So they all unfortunately come together.
Yeah.
So it's not just one or the other. I think we were talking about, just before you were talking about kids, mall, lost my kid, all that sort of stuff. One thing I'll probably leave you with and leave the listeners with is, please don't ever come up to us and say, can you tell my kid off, or can you have a crack at my kid for doing this?
Do people do that?
I'll never do it, because we actually want kids to feel comfortable to come up to us if they need us. So we do a lot of community engagement. We get out there, we hand out stickers, we do workbooks, we go to schools, we do talks, which is obviously that's how I became a police officer, was because someone came to my school and did that.
Exactly, yeah.
So we're always friendly, approachable, make time and effort with the kids. And if a parent comes up to me generally and says, oh, can you tell my kid off? I say, no, I can't. That's not what I'm here to do.
And I think that's
But I will go and give them a high five and say, hey, mate, if ever you need to come and speak to me, please feel free. And if ever this happens or that happens, you know we're here. And because you want kids to feel safe and know that you're there to help them, and not oh, if I go speak to the police officer because I'm lost, he's going to tell me off for being lost. And that's the last thing we want.
Yeah, I mean, that's very, very important.
Yeah.
I hope parents aren't doing that, because I think that's a core function
of
a parent. But
some do.
That's unfortunate. We are at time. I do want to take this opportunity to thank you and the general Australian police force for all the work that you do. I know that I couldn't do it. I know there would be so many instances where you would see some really horrible things, or I talked about this a lot with the paramedic, that you're seeing people potentially at their worst. Yeah, definitely. At their most vulnerable. Yeah. Which, not to get too serious on this podcast, but that is a weight that, is hard to shed. Yeah. But thank you. No, you're welcome. And thank you for having me. It's absolutely been a blast. And it's been fantastic. If you have me back at some point, I'd love to come back, and we can definitely go into a few more things, and we can chat further. So wonderful. Thank you so much. No worries. Thank you. Cheers.